Welcome, guys, to How the Frack We Got Here, a show that takes the news and events of the week and try to make sense out of it all. I'm your host, the most Will Buchanan, and on this show, we simply are all about the facts. There are plenty of news stations out there that simply want to do anything short but inform you. Here at How the Frack We Got Here, that's all we believe in. We go up to the left, we go up to the right, we go up to the middle of independence. We go after all sides because there's more than one side of a story to everything. And you need to know it all in order to actually formulate your own opinion. And that's what we try to do here at How the Frack We Got Here. Thanks for listening, and hold on. It's going to be fun.
All right, guys. Today's date, July the 9th, 2025, and this is How the Frack We Got Here. I'm your host, the most Will Buchanan on the Frack We Got Here. We do take the events of the week and try to make sense of it all. Before we get started, guys, we do pride ourselves on being on a news podcast, which means that we only cite from sources with award-winning journalism. We do not do sensational news like Fox News, The Blaze, The Daily Beast. Whatever you get your extreme left or extreme right, get your views from, we simply don't do that. We just provide you with nothing but logistical facts. At the same time, guys, we do try to watch our language on this show, but words do fly. At the same time, there may be things that might be shown that might be too intense for younger viewers, so viewer discretion is advised. Aside from that, welcome. So, well, there's no other way we can get to this. I mean, no other way to get to this. Let's just go ahead and talk about it.
Tonight, a major victory for the Donald Trump agenda.
The motion is adopted.
The House passing his multi-trillion-dollar sprawling spending bill designed to fund a wide range of campaign promises, including extending tax cuts passed in his first administration, new military spending, and money to fund a mass deportation plan, paying for it in part with steep cuts to food aid benefits, clean energy funding, and Medicaid. President Trump celebrating the win before flying to a victory rally in Iowa.
This is a great bill. This is going to be a great bill for the country.
The bill passed largely on party lines, with only 2 Republicans voting against it. One of those, Pennsylvania Representative Brian Fitzpatrick, who dodged NBC News' questions.
Why did you vote no?
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you? Why did you vote no?
House conservatives balked at the changes made in the Senate, holding back their votes for hours, before they finally relented without a single thing in the bill changing. House Speaker Mike Johnson.
Do you think they caved?
No, I don't think they caved. Look, I think every member made a thoughtful and informed decision.
President Trump working the phones until the early morning hours. The holdouts say they got what they wanted.
Are you concerned that in the future, though, people won't believe that you guys are going to be a no on big issues?
No, I
like
think
this?
they know we better be ready they better be ready to deal.
Democrats did everything they could to delay final passage. Their leader, Hakeem Jeffries, setting a record by holding the floor for more than 8 hours, attacking the bill's overhaul of social safety net programs like Medicaid and SNAP, which could lead to millions of Americans losing access to coverage.
We were a hell no last week, a hell no this week, a hell no yesterday, a hell no today.
But Republicans argue Medicaid is in need of reform, and the bill is filled with the president's priorities, like eliminating taxes on tips and overtime.
And Ryan, as you know, President Trump still needs to sign this bill. What's the plan for that?
Well, folks, I'll save you some folks some time. This was on July 4th. And on the 4th of July, he did have his spectacle of him signing his bill and him taking his victory lap. And it's amazing that him and the Republicans still think they've done a great thing. We have said on this show multiple times how bad this bill is. There's not an economist out there in the country that believes this is good. There's not anybody out there. Even some Republican voters are like, this bill is terrible. It's going to take away, it's going to take away your Medicare. It's going to take away your Medicaid. It's going to take away food from kids. It is going to take away benefits. It is going to give the upper crust everything while taking everything almost from the middle and lower classes. I could beat around the bush around that, but we all know this is bad. We all know this is a terrible, terrible bill that'll add trillions to the debt. You know, the thing that Republicans keep harping on, we don't want to settle up our future children with our debt. And we just added nearly $7 trillion to it. $7 trillion is what this bill is going to cost. And it's going to add to the debt. The only other president, Taco, has done something that no other president has done. You have accumulated more debt in a single presidency than the last 4 Republican presidents combined. Bravo for showing us exactly what Taco does best. Run a company into the ground. Unfortunately, you cannot write off the United States of America in bankruptcy court. Not like many of us failed businesses, but I digress. But here's the kicker about all this. For all those that are wondering when this plan is going to go into effect, this plan doesn't go into effect until next year. Here's the other kicker about it. It's after the midterms. See, what a lot of people don't understand or may not know is that Republicans had a plan B to this. What was their plan B? That they knew they could be committing political suicide. They knew that they voted for a bill, all their Republican voters would suddenly wake up when their Medicare, their Medicaid, their benefits, their 401ks, pretty much everything that they work for is gone and given to rich folks. Once they realize that, oh, well, we need to vote Democrat. We need to get the right people in there. And Democrats, and again, Hakeem Jeffries, yeah, speaking for 8 hours is great. But what the Democrats should have been doing is that you knew good and hell well you were not going to stop because the way they did this was reconciliation, which means that they didn't need you to vote. They had majorities in the House and the Senate to get things passed. They could have done it without you. Now, here's my thing. Should Democrats be sitting there speaking for 8 hours? No. I think that they should be talking to their constituents. I think they should be getting to know. This should be laying the groundwork, in my opinion. If I'm in the DNC, I would be directing everybody, get to know your districts, get to know your cities, get to know the state that you represent. Get the groundwork going because you got a year and a half. You got a year and a half before the midterms come up. You got a year and a half to really get to know these folks, to really get your name out there, to really show what you're about, because you're not stopping that. That cesspool of a bill, you could speak for 12, 24 hours. Republicans, that party has made up its mind. They're going to kiss Taco's ring and give him whatever they want, and whatever he craps out, they will shovel it up happily. You're not going to stop it. What you can do is begin to get to know your districts well outside of midterm election years, which you should have done. But getting back to what I said, that this is the reason why the Republicans plan it this way. In the event that they did commit political suicide, and that, let's just say, come midterms next year, the House and the Senate, or both, whether one or two, gets flipped blue, or both gets flipped blue. If they do get flipped blue, let's just use best case. Let's just use the scenario we hope that would happen. If the House and the Senate both get flipped blue, and they both have majority, that means Democrats for the next foreseeable year and a half could push things through, steamroll the Republicans, steamroll Taco, because Taco will veto it, which means it goes back to the Senate. They vote for it again. He's got no choice but to sign it. Checks and balances. But if that were to happen, that's the reason why this whole bill goes into effect midterms, because you're going to have some voters out there that are, I'm trying to be nice how I say this, dumb or just not paying attention. I don't want to say dumb, but they're not paying attention, or they have short attention spans, which means that a year from now, they'll forget this, come back. Democrats have won the House and the Senate midterms. The bills hit. Well, what did the Democrats do? They've been in office. They got the House. They got the Senate. Where's my Medicare? Where's my Medicaid? Where's my benefits? They will forget, and trust me, they will. It'll be our jobs as journalists and as active people in current events. It is our job to remind them. The Republicans set this up to where they hope you have amnesia and look at the people in charge and go, why aren't y'all doing anything about this? and therefore sets up the dominoes for the next election. Republicans, I'll say one thing, they will set it up to where they will cry accountability and then they'll dodge accountability, because trust me, that's exactly what they're doing. So this bill won't go into effect until next year post midterms. But again, they're setting this up to where they can blame the Democrats, similar to how Trump's last administration went when Biden came in and Biden had to clean up Taco's mess. Like every other Republican administration, a Democratic administration has to clean it up. Historically, it has. But here's the thing. I don't get mad at Republicans, not all of them, because again, they're all going to kiss Taco's ring. The one person we should all be mad at right now, the senator from Alaska, Lisa Murkowski. Why? Because she led to the vote that led to J.D. Vance being the tie that eventually led us to this shitstorm that we're in right now. But one had to ask, if given the chance, why did you vote for it? Here's her response.
Also said that that your vote was a bailout for Alaska at the expense of the rest of the country.
Oh my.
That's what Senator Paul said.
I assume it was easy. Senator, we've got
I didn't say it, ma'am. I'm just asking for your response.
My response is I have an obligation to the people of the state of Alaska. And I live up to that every single day. I fight for my state's interests, and I make sure that Alaskans are understood. I work hard to take care of a state that has more unique situations, more unique people, and it's just different. And so when people suggest that federal dollars go to one of our 50 states in a, quote, bailout, I find that offensive. I advocated for my state's interests. I will continue to do that, and I will make no excuses for doing that. Do I like this bill? No, because I tried to take care of Alaska's interests. But I know that in many parts of the country, there are Americans that are not going to be advantaged by this bill. I don't like that. I don't like the fact that we moved through an artificial deadline, an artificial timeline to produce something to meet a deadline rather than to actually try to produce the best bill for the country. But when I saw the direction that this is going, you can either say, I don't like it, not try to help my state, or you can roll up your sleeves.
That was Republican Senator.
I just love the fact of just, all she was missing was white woman tears. All she was missing. I can only do so much. I can only do so much. It was either save my people or do nothing. You don't understand how it was a terrible bill. I did what I thought I could do. Ma'am, shut the fuck up. And I do mean that in all sorts of words. Really and truly, miss me with the bullshit. You could have been like Rand Paul. Who knew in this day and age, July 9th, 2025, I'm defending Rand Paul. It's cold somewhere. Because Rand Paul voted no against it. And yet, Lisa Murkowski could have said no too. She could have said no, but she was like, Alaska's fine. Because that's how bad, number one, that's how bad Taco won this bill to pass. He literally told Murkowski, we will exempt Alaska from this bill if you vote yes. Think about that. If you're the fine people of Alaska, you're fine. If you're the rest of the United States, you're kind of hosed. But I just love the fact that she's like trying to seem insulted. Are you really trying to seem insulted right now? Because you could have voted no. You could have. You could have voted no. You could have stand 10 toes down, stand on business, as they say, and you could have voted no. But we know why you didn't vote no. You sat there and you took a concession, much like everybody else that was the quote unquote holdouts. Oh, y'all folded like lawn chairs when the whip was cracked. Let's be real. Y'all folded like lawn chairs when the whip got cracked. And at the same doggone time, you're going to really sit there and try to explain to us that this is the way things go? Please. It's worse than Trump talking about business people taking ownership of the illegal immigrants they work for, not realizing he just basically litigated slavery. Yeah. And I'll get to that. Again, that's going to be a whole other thing too. But the thing I'm getting at is with the current thing, with the big, beautiful bill bullshit getting passed, and then Lisa Murkowski is trying to convince herself she's doing the right thing. You could have said no. You could have voted no. At least we knew where you stood. But again, a lot of people don't understand how bad this is affecting them. But it's always funny to watch a senator really try to explain their actions, but when accountability hits them, they choose to get mad. Like I said, all she was missing was white woman's ears. But meanwhile in Texas, unfortunately, Mother Nature struck again with a deadly flood that has killed at least 104 people, 20 or so of them being children that were lost in camps. Again, I can't help but wonder, because the National Weather Service, the NOAA, those weather detection organizations were gutted by Ketamine, Elon, and Taco as far as trying to save money, which they never did. But again, another disaster in Texas, another bunch of questions.
Search and rescue operations now entering a fifth day. I spoke overnight with Ryan Logue, a search volunteer with the United Cajun Navy.
We've got piles of debris that are the size of multiple 18-wheelers in some places, and you can't see in it at all. So it's going to take a week or so to really understand how long this is going to take.
As of last night, 104 people were confirmed dead, including 28 children. Among them, 8-year-old twins, Hannah and Rebecca Lawrence, at Camp Mystic with their older sister, Harper, who survived. Their grandfather says Hannah and Rebecca gave their whole family so much joy. They and that joy can never be forgotten. And 8-year-old Anna Margaret Bellows, her mother, thanking the camp's counselors for trying to protect her daughter.
Our whole group is so grateful for the counselors who loved our children and protected them until the very end.
The McCrory family is holding on to hope that 8-year-old Blakely will be found. Her family, no stranger to tragedy. Her dad died of a heart attack just 2 months ago. Somehow the family says Blakely's mother is staying strong.
What do all the reindeer do?
Wade Lighthall shared this video of his daughter, Kellyanne, singing at a Christmas pageant. The 8-year-old is among 10 campers still missing. Texas Senator Ted Cruz, whose daughters attend camp nearby, visited Camp Mystic yesterday.
In front of one cabin, the cabin that had among the youngest campers, there were 13 lone white crosses with the names of little girls who lost their lives. And I will tell you, I just stood and prayed.
We're seeing more of the terrifying moments when homes and people were swept away, the river rising 26 feet in 45 minutes. Floodwaters picking up this cabin with people still inside, carrying it down the river.
There's so many people.
Everyone inside survived. Questions are being raised about whether a better warning system could have prevented so much loss of life. ABC News reviewed records from Kerr County and found as early as 2016 discussions were held about installing an outdoor siren warning system after an existing flood detection system was determined to be antiquated and not reliable. There were cost concerns, and local officials argued the informal system being used at the time would be sufficient. That system, known as river calling, relies on camps calling each other in the event of an emergency. One official saying they notify each other, we notify them, they notify. There's a lot of informal things that really do work real well. And at another meeting, a different official saying the thought of our beautiful Kerr County having these damn sirens going off in the middle of the night, I'm going to have to start drinking again. But in the Hill Country right now, Ryan Logue says the focus is not on the past, but rather on searching.
It's so hard not to put yourself in the position of those parents and to feel their pain. It has impacted our community in ways that I can't even describe.
He says people from all over have been delivering equipment and volunteering their time to help search. As for the flood warning system, the lieutenant governor says the state will now pay for sirens to be installed.
So what's crazy about that is you literally heard, and it's sad that, some parents will never be able to hold their children again. That is tragic. That is sad. And we're not knocking that. But it's amazing that when it comes to early warning detection systems, you heard off the bat, well, do we really need to have these type of systems set up along these campsites to warn people? Yeah. That would be like, and I thought it so because, again, I live in the South. I live in the deep red South. We have tornado warning detection. We have tornado warning systems in. We have sirens that go off whenever there's severe weather or tornado threats or any type of severe weather threats. The sirens go off. Now, I would rather those sirens go off. I would rather our local news stations give us as much information as we can, even if it means it cuts in front of our favorite shows, even if it means it cuts in front of sports games, because people need advance warning to get to shelter. That's what these systems and personnel and organizations are in place for. But it amazes me that people sit there and think, oh, we don't need that type of system. Our camp to camp system work just fine, except when it doesn't. Because again, that flood happened in minutes. The waters rising was minutes, not hours. At the same time, the early warning detection system that was in place did not work at all. And lives were lost. And now search and rescue may just eventually become a recovery. And I hate to say that because no child should lose their life, or anybody should lose their life in flooding or any type of severe weather like that. Nobody should have to lose that. But the problem is with this is that could it have been prevented? Yeah, it could be prevented. But look at the people you have in place. Look at what Elon and Taco did to the FA, to the radio, people that work the radio towers for airlines, to the folks that work for the IRS, to the folks that work in the National Weather Service, the NOAA. I can keep going down the line of where they've massively cut out jobs to where they should have been left alone. Matter of fact, they should have paid these people more for the job they do. Because when you gutted the FAA, we had planes having issues, some even crashing, some almost even narrowly missing each other in the air. Now you've gutted the National Weather Service. What do you expect? Especially in areas that are not as advanced, or I should say not as blue state as the red states are. And we're seeing the effect of that. But hey, one thing that always stays the same, whenever Texas has a natural disaster event, Ted Cruz is nowhere to be found. Oh, but wait, there he is. He came back as fast as humanly possible from his vacation in Greece after the floods hit. Keep in mind, the reason why I bring this up about Senator Cruz is, for a lot of people that may not remember, because it's only been a couple of years, remember that frost freeze, that Texas got hit with? Yeah, that knocked out power to millions of Texans. I mean, because Texas was on their own independent power grid, that a lot of folks didn't get the same help, but getting the same power they did before. That a lot of folks saw some high-ass energy bills. But, Cruz at the time, who was there during the frost freeze, took the first flight out with him and his family and those close to him to Cancun. And for a lot of people that may not remember, he caught a lot of hell for that. He got shamed into coming back and doing his job. So a lot of people say, but Will, come on. He was on vacation. There would have been no way he would have known. He was on vacation. Here's my thing about senators, especially Republican senators. You have the unmitigated gall and audacity to go on vacation after screwing millions of Americans. you have the unmitigated gall to believe that you did such a good job of cutting people's health care and benefits while your lifetime health care still applies to you. I'm sorry, I don't feel bad for Cruz and his Greece vacation got cut short. Do your effing job as senator, or hopefully this time around, the great state of Texas will finally vote his ass out. But then at the same time, it's like hoping my state of Tennessee votes Marsha Blackburn out. And I'm sorry, that bitch has done nothing for the state except line her own pockets. Yes, I said it. But again, that's not the only thing about Texas that we should not be concerned about, because as always, Trump loves to turn around and blame Biden for everything, which he did. He tried to turn around, and I kid you not, when they asked him about the situation, he said, quote unquote, if you look at that water situation, that was really the Biden setup. It was a reflex, Freudian slip, if you will. But then they try to say, well, it's just the historic nature of the floods and that the area that they're in. No, you did what you usually do. Like a parrot on command, when wanting a cracker, you're going to basically perform. Which again, it goes to show you the level, it goes to show you the level of ignorance that they have around climate change, how we detect weather, and what's involved, which is quite a lot. But it goes to show you how little they think of that until something like that happens. Even going back to our favorite press secretary, who's usually there to mop up the bullshit, Caroline Levitt tried to explain the situation.
In the wake of this once-in-a-generation natural disaster, we have seen many falsehoods pushed by Democrats such as Senator Chuck Schumer and some members of the media. Blaming President Trump for these floods is a depraved lie, and it serves no purpose during this time of national mourning. Here are the facts. In the lead up to this tragic natural disaster, the National Weather Service did its job. Despite unprecedented rainfall, the National Weather Service executed timely and precise forecasts and warnings. On July 3rd, the National Weather Service office in Austin, San Antonio, Texas, conducted forecast briefings for emergency management in the morning and issued a flood watch in the early afternoon. Flash flood warnings were also issued on the night of July 3rd and in the early morning of July 4th, giving preliminary lead times of more than 3 hours before flash flooding conditions occurred. And the National Weather Service office in New Braunfels, which delivers forecasts for Austin, San Antonio, and the surrounding areas, had extra staff on duty during the storms, despite claims of the contrary. So to any person who has deliberately lied about these facts surrounding this catastrophic event, you should be deeply ashamed. At this time, the administration's focus will be giving the victims and their communities the support they deserve during these recovery efforts in this tragic time. Be deeply
FEMA. We would send FEMA. Oh, wait. We want to get rid of FEMA. It's amazing because, again, Texas Governor Greg Abbott was one of those that says, well, we don't really need FEMA. And yet Mother Nature found you wanting. Oh, well, we're now requesting FEMA assistance. But didn't you want to get rid of that for your benefit? And now that your state is hurting, you actually need FEMA, which goes to show you, again, why in the world are we even allowing conservatives to run things? It's like, I can't help but sit there and go, why are y'all even allowed to run things? Because whatever y'all cut does no good. At the same time, you're just going to be destructive. And whatever you cut, it's like watching Chernobyl just in different ways. If you remove every safety feature just to see if you can do it, disaster will happen. And I hate to say it, disaster did happen, especially in this sense. But again, it's not surprising. We've seen it happen with airlines. We're now seeing it happen with climate change. I'm just saying the third one's coming, and I feel for whoever will be hit because of collateral damage. But that being said, guys, we usually on How the Frack We Got Here don't usually cover comics, although I do have a show, Get Bit Podcast, that actually covers that every Friday, but feel free to watch that. That being said, Superman is coming out in a couple of days. Another movie done by James Gunn. And it looks like it's going to be all the feels. As a comic book fan, I do enjoy it. With that being said, I hate to say this because much like Ironheart in the MCU, whenever it comes to people of color or just telling a story that napkins cannot, napkins, not, there are some white people that are actually okay, but the napkins are the ones I'm talking about. But there are always napkins that they read into something that's not there. I'll play this Fox News clip and then I'll go from there. Just bear with me. I know it's Fox News. Bear with me.
That no one will notice that the border's wide open. And I never went there. I mean,
that's how you talk to kids. Anyway, before we go, Gavin Newsom signed a new California bill requiring big retailers to establish, Laura, gender-neutral toy aisles.
Good. They're going to have a place to sell that new Superman bisexual DC comic book toy that was announced today. Finally, a place know where to go.
Well, that comes after a gay Aquaman, a bisexual boy wonder, Robin, and a gender-fluid Loki. Call me when they have a gender-stable aisle with superheroes whose sexualities we know nothing about. Why are they sexualizing superheroes? You know, I was a Batman and a Superman, Spider-Man kid. I loved those heroes. We just wanted them to get the bad guys, not a venereal disease. Anyway, leave our comic book heroes alone. Laura. We don't want to hear any more about what they do when they're not apprehended.
Yeah, that's here's the part that always it makes me cringe. It makes me cringe that's how they view things, and even more so. Again, that's Laura Ingraham, one of the three-headed douchebags at Fox News. That's not really a news station because again. They said they settled into me for that. Ben Shapiro decided to give his 2 cents on the Superman movie going woke. And yes, I know it's Ben Shapiro. Just work with me on this. I will try to make this as quickly and as painless as possible. But again, listen to him try to diatribe his way into saying Superman is going woke. Yes, Superman is, in his opinion, or lack thereof, is going woke.
He's talking about the themes in Superman. And he explained that the superhero epic encompasses the story of America. He said, I mean, Superman is the story of America, an immigrant that came from other places and populated the country. But for me, it is mostly a story that says basic human kindness is a value and is something that we have lost. So he's now trying to make the case effectively that Superman is kind of an illegal immigrant. Gunn acknowledged the movie's themes may be interpreted differently across political groups, especially considering the nationwide unrest around immigration. However, Gunn stands by the ideals embedded in Superman and added he doesn't care if anyone takes offense. Yes, it plays differently, but it's about human kindness. And obviously there will be jerks out there who are just not kind and will take it as offensive just because it is about kindness. But screw them. And then he says, yes, it's about politics, but on another level, it's about morality. I do not understand the necessity for all of these Hollywood folks to undercut the pitch of their own film before it even comes out. It's insane. It's totally insane. By the way, David Corenswet did the exact same thing. Corenswet refused to say truth, justice, and the American way in a recent interview. Instead, he said truth, justice, and all that good stuff because he doesn't want to say the American way. The reality that Hollywood is so far to the left that they cannot take a core piece of Americana and just say it's about America. This has been a problem since basically after the original Christopher Reeve series. Every single iteration of Superman that's been made since then has avoided truth, justice, and the American way because they just refuse to acknowledge the American way is good, that the American way is in fact unique. And this lies at the root of a leftist worldview. That leftist worldview is astonishingly anti-American. It really is. This hardcore left worldview that says that America is somehow uniquely bad. So if there's a comic book character who is built on the goodness of America, which is what Superman really is about, if Superman is an immigration story, you know, for those who are not familiar with the origin story of Superman, who comes from the planet Krypton and then lands in America and then is brought up in a Midwestern household on a farm by his adoptive parents and integrated into true American values and then goes to Metropolis and brings his sort of country values to the big city where crime is rife and where everybody is too cynical and sophisticated. And the whole point of Superman is that he's bringing these kind of classic American values to the big city. It's a riff on how New York kind of sucks in many ways, actually. Superman, the original, is very much about how the values of America are farm bred and farm born. Right? His moral center, his moral compass, Superman, is on the farm from his parents. That's why he takes the name Clark Kent. He's an immigrant who assimilates to American values and then brings those classic American values to the big city where he has to use them to defend the big city from enemies, foreign and domestic. I mean, the original Superman is literally punching Hitler in the face. In the comics, he literally punches Hitler in the face. So, the attempt to separate Superman off from America is just a demonstration by the cultural left of how much they dislike America. And that's no shock, because when you take that over into the political sphere, full scale, what you end up is a different kind of immigrant, like the guy who may be the next mayor of New York, Zoran Mamdani. So
I'm going to stop it right there, just because as a comic book fan and as a Superman fan, this is why I know if I ever saw Ben Shapiro in public, I am liable to punch him. As a comic book fan, you deserve to get. He has a punchable face and a douchebag attitude already, but he's one of those guys that deserves to get punched in the face. I'm not advocating violence. I'm just saying he has a very punchable face. Why? Because and again, this goes back to what I've always said about those who've never picked up a comic book. Number one, never picked up a comic book. If you never picked a comic book up, please sit the frack down, shut the frack up. You have no idea what you're talking about. If you're trying to sit there and say, oh, well, they're trying to sexualize superheroes. Really? Coming from the party of family values that's always caught with a mistress, a gay lover, a mistress with a love child, or a mistress with a love child that also has an LGBTQ member, a boy toy, found in the closet while you have a ball and a gag and a safe word. This comes from the family of traditional values, right? Always them. Always caught with things that should be found in a Law and Order SVU episode. But getting back to Ben Shapiro, you've never read a superhero comic. I can almost guarantee you've never read a superhero comic, much less Superman, because Superman did have a comic to which he renounced his American citizenship, saying that he cannot see himself as an American when he represents the world. There's an actual comic where, yes, truth, justice in the American way was initially where Jerry Spiegel and others that created Superman was going by that motto. It wasn't until 2021 to, again, reflect the freaking times to where Superman said truth, justice, and a better tomorrow. It's not that freaking hard. Well, he renounced his Americanship. No, because Superman, for all intents and purposes, is an illegal immigrant. It's an immigrant story. Give it to James Gunn, because James Gunn actually is telling a story, all-star Superman, if you want to be honest about it, but it's a story to which for a lot of us that love the story of Superman, it's going to hit home. An immigrant that's simply trying to find his place in the world, that's trying to fit in, that is just trying to do right, and he just happens to have powers. Whereas the villain of the story has money, has power, has influence, and is jealous of an individual that has none of these things, and yet he wants more. Who does honestly Lex Luthor remind you of? I'm just saying. But at the same time, it does not help to turn around and sit there and say about the fact, well, they're trying to strip American values. Why? Because Kellyanne Conway also decided she wanted to put her 2 cents into it as well.
And I went to the Yankees at Mets game yesterday at Citi Field. Go Yanks. And you should see the people sitting for the national anthem for God Bless America. It's really just, I can't believe that we've come down to that. And I don't know, we don't go to the movie theater to be lectured to and to have somebody throw their ideology onto us. I wonder if it'll be successful.
You know what it says on his cape? MS-13.
Wow.
Is it superimposed or it actually says that?
It is super.
Just on the knuckles. One more thing.
Okay, I'm also going to say this. Jesse, punchable face. I'm I am trying so hard not to advocate violence, but Jesse on that show, he's worse than Gottfield. He's worse than Kellyanne Conway. And right after Ben Shapiro, I'm going to have a list of people with punchable faces. Again, I am not advocating violence, but Jesus, it amazes me so how they look at things. Like, I'm being completely honest with you. How they look at this. They sit there and say, well, we don't want an immigrant story. You've never read a Superman comic. I mean, God forbid. You know what? I always say, I'm going to be honest with you. God forbid they watch Star Trek. If these people ever watch one episode of Star Trek, whether, you know what? I'll even go, it doesn't gotta be, I'll even go next. I'll go DS9. I'll go Deep Space Nine. If they watch one episode of Deep Space Nine, they'll think it's woke. If they watch one episode of Next Generation, they're going to think it's woke. Of Voyager, of Discovery, of Strange New Worlds, even Lower Decks, they will swear up and down it's woke because it represents a society that isn't about greed, that isn't about accumulation. It's about the betterment of our society. And they'll call it woke, which goes to show you that they're ignorant. And I take this from Ted Lasso when he said a quote by Walt Whitman, be curious, not judgmental. Because if these same people shared one brain cell among them, just to be curious, to actually understand what us comic book and superhero fans love the most, if they got a chance to understand us, I'm just saying it would be way freaking different.
I'm only aware of
Much
one.
like at the same time, guys. This isn't the first time that they've attacked movies they don't understand. Keep in mind, we're not too far off ago where they argued about a mermaid being black.
And it's about sexual preferences, and it's completely disgusting that they would associate this with a children's movie. But when these writers, these institutions, these publications tell you who they are, believe them. And again, this is just another notch in the belt with these leftist organizations sexualizing and exploiting children. And, you know, we're talking about the FBI, we're talking about the debt ceiling, we're talking about border security, all things that unfortunately Republicans and conservatives don't have a lot of intestinal fortitude, at least up until now, to follow through on. But the left has found one area. They have found the hill that conservatives and decent folks are willing to die on, and that is protecting children. And we will do it every single time. Ask Target, ask Bud Light, ask Kohl's. We will protect children. We will keep them from being exploited. We will do it.
Yes, y'all will do something outside of, being loud and ignorant as usual. But that's not surprising from Tommy Lauren. It's not. It really is not whenever it comes to her. But also at the same time, guys, it comes this whole thing of this is how they treat stuff. And when I say how they treat stuff, this is how they turn around. And again, they have to make it. They always think that if it's something they don't understand, it has to be woke. And that tells you a lot. But in all intents and purposes, go enjoy the movie. If you don't want to go see it, don't go see it. But at the same time, it's not as big as you think it is. Please, oh please, let it effing go. But that being said, we got to get to another elephant in the room before we get to ICE and the reason why they're being attacked. Well, remember a long time ago that a lot of people worried about Epstein? And no, I'm not going to talk about the diddler because honestly, there's nothing to talk about except the fact that that's why sexual assaulted victims, don't come forward. Cases like that. But I digress. Anyway, Epstein. Remember a long time ago that, Taco Lapdog AG Pam Bondi said that, I had the list on my desk and I will investigate it. Well, the DOJ is singing quite a different tune as of today, and we ain't buying it.
This morning in the case of Jeffrey Epstein, with the Justice Department and FBI releasing video of the hallway outside his jail cell on the night he took his own life in 2019, showing no one went in. The DOJ also released a 2-page, undated, unsigned memo on Monday, confirming the financier and convicted sex offender died by suicide in federal prison while awaiting trial on sex trafficking charges. The DOJ says it found no credible evidence that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals, concluding Epstein did not maintain a client list that he used to traffic underage girls. It's a striking reversal of a past statement by the head of the Justice Department, Attorney General Pam Bondi. In February, Bondi was asked by Fox News about a possible client list.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump.
The White House press secretary on Monday asked about those comments.
She was saying the entirety of all of the paperwork, all of the paper in relation to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes.
Bondi has faced fierce criticism from some Trump supporters after she promoted the February release of a series of Epstein documents that were already publicly available, with some far-right figures calling for Bondi's resignation. Former Trump ally, billionaire Elon Musk, mocking Bondi as a clown on X Monday, weeks after he deleted a post accusing the president of being in the Epstein files. Conspiracy theories surrounding Epstein's death have circulated for years, including from some Trump administration officials. Among them, FBI Director Kash Patel and his second-in-command, Dan Bongino. As a podcaster, Bongino accused the media of failing to investigate claims that Epstein engaged in blackmail.
I'm amazed at how few people are putting two and two together.
Both Bongino and Patel have reversed course, having this to say on Fox News in May.
You know a suicide when you see one?
I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
The release of that surveillance video has fueled some conspiracies itself. There appears to be a missing minute at midnight. The Justice Department has not responded to our request for comment about the apparent discrepancy. Lots of people online with their own ideas. Meanwhile, the DOJ says it will not be releasing any.
So I'll stop it right there, just because I don't usually go into the tinfoil hat conspiracy. I leave that to QAnon and Marjorie Taylor Greene. But you can't argue the video, folks. You cannot argue the video that Pam Bondi on Fox News is sitting there saying, yep, it's on my desk along with other things. We're going to investigate it. And it didn't help that just a few weeks ago, ketamine Elon Musk was saying, oh, by the way, Trump is on the Epstein list, which we kind of already figured because we've seen pictures of him with women at functions that Epstein had thrown. We're not surprised by this, but at the same time telling us that, oh, there's no such thing as a list and that Epstein hung himself and that Epstein did all this. Yeah, we're not buying it. At the same time, again, Miss Caroline Leavitt had her hands full when asked about Miss Bondi's comments.
Dramatic review revealed no incriminating client list. So what happened to the Epstein client list that the Attorney General said she had on her desk?
Well, I think if you go back and look at what the Attorney General said in that interview, which was on your network on Fox News.
Got the quote.
Go ahead.
John Roberts said, DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen? And she said, it's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Yes, she was saying the entirety of all of the paperwork, all of the paper in relation to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. That's what the Attorney General was referring to, and I'll let her speak for that. But again, when it comes to the FBI and the Department of Justice, they are more than committed to ensuring that bad people are put behind bars.
Oh, let the two-step of bullshit begin. But what we are surprised about? I'm not surprised because Pam Bondi is an AG that does Taco's lapdog for him. She's Taco's lapdog. She'll attack whoever he wants to be attacked. And if something is on there that incriminates him, she sweeps on the rug and has amnesia. And so begins the dance that Caroline, well, she was saying, it is amazing to me, the verbal gymnastics. I thought Sarah Huckabee had it mastered down with a straight face. This woman also has learned the bullshit waltz. But again, I digress. Going back to news though, guys. Again, Taco versus California, specifically LA. That LA is starting to look more like the 92 riots than anything else because it's one-sided. Because now you have the ICE Gestapo, the National Guard, and now Marines. I wish I could make this up.
After federal agents and troops gathered at a park for what appeared to be an immigration-related operation, but the mayor claims the only thing interrupted was a children's summer camp. ABC's Christiane Cordero has details. Christiane, good morning.
Andrew, good morning. The questions being raised about that show of force come as more immigration officers come under attack, facing ambushes and assaults. This morning, new questions after federal agents descended onto MacArthur Park in Los Angeles yesterday. 90 National Guard troops in tactical gear deploying to the mostly empty park. Officials only saying the troops were there to support immigration authorities.
What a disgrace, what's happening in MacArthur Park. What theater.
California Governor Gavin Newsom slamming the Trump administration.
Those National Guard men and women that were out there protecting people are now being used as political pawns.
Who were in the park today were children. It was their summer camp.
Mayor Karen Bass saying there were no threats at the park, only children whose camp was interrupted.
Did this 8-year-old tell me that he was afraid of ICE? Did the 8-year-old tell me that he was afraid of ICE taking his parents?
A recent report said the park is a crime-ridden, open-air drug market, but no arrests were reported during the troops' presence. It comes as federal officials report a spike in violence against immigration agents, with assaults against ICE and Border Patrol personnel up 500% since January. Just yesterday, a man in tactical gear opening fire on a Border Patrol facility in Texas. Police say 27-year-old Ryan Lewis Mosqueda fired dozens of rounds into the building near the McAllen airport. 2 local officers and a Border Patrol employee were hurt. Mosqueda was killed. Investigators found his vehicle spray-painted with the words Cortes DA, a phrase from a Call of Duty video game referring to an anti-government uprising.
Unless we stop the hateful rhetoric against ICE and Border Patrol, comparing them to Nazis, there's going to be more situations like that.
In a separate incident on July 4th, officials say a group of 10 to 12 people in military gear ambushed officers at an immigration detention facility in Alvarado, Texas. The group drawing officers out of the building, launching fireworks and damaging vehicles before opening fire, hitting one officer in the neck. 10 suspects have now been arrested and charged with attempted murder of federal officers.
Local officials demanding answers after.
Whoops, sorry. So yeah, a lot's happened along with what's going on in Los Angeles right now, because again, Taco does not like California, and California is pretty much like Harvard is pretty much giving Taco the finger. Especially in how the fact that the ICE Gestapo, along with the Department of Homeland Security, in the way they're moving to pick up immigrants is, well, a little Nazi-ish. I'm going to point that out. But again, the fact they invade a park to where there's a bunch of kids has now scarred said kids. And so now you've created a bigger problem. At the more side, though, again, this goes back to the whole thing of Taco trying to keep a promise of deportation, although really it's Stephen Miller behind him that's really screaming at folks to get more arrests done. And along with the Alligator Alcatraz facility they set up in Florida, I'm just saying it seems like America still wants to be number one in incarcerated people. Still wants to be number one, I guess. But the other 2 stories that they did point out and all that is, guys, that again there were attacks on ICE. One by one lone gunman. Another one done by 10 people that tried to assault a ICE detention facility in Texas. I will say this, okay? I will say this, and I will try to be as nice about it as humanly possible. We don't, here at How the Frack Got Here, we do not advocate violence. We do advocate protests. We do advocate getting in good trouble. We do advocate standing up for others that cannot stand. That being said, if you are a ICE agent, if you work for the Department of Homeland Security, if you are the National Guard, if you're listening to somehow this podcast, I will say this to you. You can not follow orders. You can reject orders if you're in the National Guard. You can reject your orders if you're an ICE agent. You can reject your orders if you work in the Department of Homeland Security. You can reject doing this, becoming the one thing that you guys swore as far as defending the Constitution from enemies, foreign and domestic, you all took the same pledge. You all have the ability to turn around and say, I cannot follow this order. That being said, I do believe that the actions of ICE, of Department of Homeland Security, have led to where you're going to have individuals decide to strike back. I even talked about in the last podcast where there were some Haitians that were fighting back ICE agents from picking up other Haitians in New York, not realizing Haitians have a history of revolution. Don't forget, they've won a few. And you think that those very same people up there are going to allow you just to roll on in and take one of theirs? Good luck. At the same time, we don't advocate violence. But what do you expect is going to happen when you go after people of color in schools, in Home Depots, in grocery stores, in their homes? You have folks pretending to be law enforcement agents to go out and go out and hurt people, or worse. The fact of the matter is, this is just the cause and effect. That this is what you pushed upon them. And now folks, I hate to say it because it was bound to happen eventually, are going to strike back. And is this advocated? No. But is it understood? Yes. Because they stoked the fire, and now you're mad that folks are basically saying, okay, turnabout is fair play. And innocent people are getting caught in the collateral crosshairs. But what do you expect? This is what happens when you basically weaponize ICE to go after people, and you give them the green light on everything. This is what happens when you weaponize the Department of Homeland Security, and you now have given them the budget that's twice the size of small country defense budgets. This is what happens because folks are no longer going to stand by. And these are folks that may or may not have access to firearms, that may or may not start watching ICE agents. And it's amazing how the borders are. And Christy Noem are like, well, we're going to go after these people with extreme prejudice. That's just 2 incidents. Are there more coming? Depends on what ICE and DHS does. But I guarantee there's going to be some people that are not going to take it lying down no more. And this is the same fire that they caused. It's the same fire they could put out. Simply put, don't follow orders. It's not that freaking hard. And another story, guys, to follow up on Philadelphia as it enters week 2 in trash. Things are looking kind of sticky and stinky.
Now to the Philadelphia city workers strike entering its 2nd week. The city set to resume negotiations today with the union representing about 9,000 workers.
Sound.
And Matt Rivers is in Philadelphia with more.
We don't have any sound. Let's check into that for a second because we got to figure out why we don't got any sound there. But yeah. So hang on a second, guys. Let me fix that because we don't have sound, which would kind of suck if we're trying to actually tell a story. So let's see. Bear with me for a few seconds here because, yeah.
Philadelphia city workers strike entering its 2nd week. The city set to resume negotiations today with the
union. Let me go ahead and just sum that up. So Philadelphia, if you guys don't remember, is on strike. Their sanitation workers are on strike. And right now, trash is basically trying to get put left. It's not getting picked up anywhere. They have designated areas around the city where things are getting picked up. But as of right now, it's piling up. And of course, both sides are supposed to meet this week to see what they can work out. But as I said before, it just comes down to one thing. Whenever it comes to strikes, pay people. Because people are tired. And I've said this before, folks. People are tired. And I do mean tired of literally and figuratively trying to, they are really tired of trying to work full-time jobs and still can't make ends meet. So again, if you're working for the city, you think you should be taken care of. So to the mayor of Philadelphia right now, if she's listening, I don't think the last people you want to tango with is the people that pick up your trash. That's all I'm saying. Might want to pay them. And the last of our two stories before we get to the end, guys, Taco being Taco moves the goalpost once again.
Meeting between President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. It comes as the president today shifted his tariff deadline. Gabe Gutierrez is at the White House. And Gabe, the administration moving the goalpost, it seems?
Yes, that's right, Tom. President Trump had paused his tariffs until July 9th. That's 2 days from now. Instead, the White House now says that deadline will be pushed back until August 1st, while the administration keeps trying to negotiate trade deals. President Trump today posted letters he says he's sending to several countries, laying out what their tariff rates will be. For example, 25% for Japan, 40% for Myanmar. Amid the uncertainty, the Dow Jones dropped more than 400 points this afternoon. Meanwhile, the president tonight is meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for the first time since the U.S. bombed Iran. There's now a renewed push for a ceasefire in Gaza. The president says he thinks a hostage deal could be reached this week, though Hamas has not signed off.
You know, I just love that Taco loves to move the goalposts. He makes these threats all the time. And then as the dates come up, well, we're just going to push him back. And he wonders why they call him Taco. Trump always chickens out. Taco being Taco. But I love the fact that they talk about Gaza and then the welfare queen Netanyahu because, again, he wants a war. He wants a war with Iran. He wants a war with Palestine, and he wants to drag us into it because for some odd reason, Israel has some dirt on the U.S. because outside of strategic areas in the Middle East, I don't see why we're defending Israel the same way that we're, supposedly defending freedom. I don't get it. I don't understand it. At the same time, the welfare queen himself, who is now on his way to the U.S. for talks to the White House for a ceasefire with Gaza, is now probably going to get exactly what he wants. Although him and his Israel committee just recommended Taco for a Nobel Prize. I wish I could make that up. That actually did happen. But again, with that being said, it shouldn't be surprising at this point what Netanyahu wants to do. But again, with the Middle East, I've said it before, whenever the U.S. is involved, the world will not end. But if we were to pull our support from Netanyahu, watch how quiet he gets when he has to face Iran and Gaza alone. I am just saying. But we're going to move on to our feel-good segment, guys, because usually how the Frack got here, we do cover a lot of things, our doom and gloom, since I make you faith humanity. But hey, it's Wednesday. Tomorrow's hump day. We will leave you guys out some good vibes, some good vibrations about a man who is literally a pillar of his community by simply being present and being kind.
Now with Ginger hitting the road. She's visiting our friends in Raleigh outside of ABC station WTVD. Ginger, hello again. How are you?
Hey, Will, when I tell you we have had such a warm welcome. Oh, I heard a woo right when someone was running by. That is what you get here in Raleigh. Yes, our friends at WTVD. We've got big weather over here, Don Schwinneker, and so many others from here to Durham. But this moment, it is all about this man, Sly Brooks. And when you hear people say this, not all heroes wear capes. Well, this one puts capes on other people.
When it comes to cutting hair, barber and business owner Sly Brooks has all the right tools.
The barber pole here.
His shop, Sly's Fire Cut Studios in Raleigh, North Carolina, blends modern hairstyling with an intimate one-on-one atmosphere.
By being in the suite, you can come in and be able to just relax, talk, unload the day on your barber while getting a fresh cut.
He's been cutting hair since he was 14, but it wouldn't be his life's only burning passion. He was a firefighter for the Raleigh Fire Department for 7 years. Before that, he played college basketball and even went semi-pro in Europe.
My colleagues, other firefighters will find out, oh, you cut hair? Can you trim me up, man? Can you tighten me up at the station? I did the same thing in college. I would cut my basketball teammates and everybody in the dorms. And while I was at the fire department, a friend of mine said, man, look, you're really good at this. You should probably get your license and open up a barbershop.
He eventually hung up his firefighting helmet. Yes, literally. And while he's no longer saving lives, he is impacting them. One way, providing free back-to-school haircuts for kids once a year, as well as school supplies.
I remember not having everything that I need to start the school year, and it's not a good feeling. Confidence is important to me.
He is very involved with the community, with the church. He's just there to make you feel welcome and make you feel happy.
And as his shirt says,
barbers are therapists too.
When I am going through hard stuff, it's just nice to be able to come here and just, chill and just calm down.
Men, you don't share your feelings and we don't talk as much. It need to get out, and it's healthy for us.
Sly, you have such a heart of service, and we are so grateful that we got to profile you today. And I do have to say that he's still got the clients that have become friends. They hang out at the gym. The community is really tight here. That's what I'm getting from this, right? And I can tell the people that came out this morning, we are loving Raleigh, North Carolina. It has been so great to be here, and we got lucky because the storms are only coming.
So I always say it best for all those that don't know. Yes, barbers are therapists, because if you ever been to a barbershop, guys can relate. We go to barbershops, that is our therapy, that is our spot to where we can be ourselves, talk amongst ourselves. And again, mental health is important, fellas. I will stress that very heavily. If you can find a place or person, services that are out there for you, you are not alone. You definitely do not need to struggle alone. You will definitely find support. There are many areas out there. I highly encourage you, because I always said it best. I'd rather listen to your story than go to your funeral. Just saying. But that being said, that's going to do it for this podcast, guys. Thank you all for liking, for watching, for letting people know it's live. I certainly appreciate that. Some shameless plugging before we do get out of here. Shout out to Always Press Record TV. Why? Because shows like How the Frack Got Here can be seen there on APR TV. You can catch it on the Roku channel or Amazon Fire TV app. Definitely run it up. We would certainly appreciate that. Also, BlurStation.com. Again, guys, a place to where streaming services for our content, our viewership, and most of our dollars should be going to movies, television, animation, things of that nature. You got it, they have it. Definitely check out BlurStation.com. It is $10.99 a month to stream BlurStation. And you can actually stream BlurStation.com on all smart devices. Definitely check that out. Also, runforoffice.org. You heard me talk about this for a lot of time, guys. You want to know how Moms for Liberty did it, how the crazy people did it? This is how they did it. Simply put, go to runforoffice.org, type in your address. It'll actually help you with the process of how you can get your name on the ballot. If you do feel the call for service, whether it's local or national, and then definitely want to do that, definitely use this website to help you out. And if you do run, hopefully you'll make a difference, because I've said it before, guys, we definitely need a lot of difference makers here and now, because you've seen what happens when Taco 2.0 is back in town, and already next year is going to be caca. But also, the show, How the Frack We Got Here, definitely can find us on Facebook, on YouTube, on I almost said LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, at How the Frack We Got Here all together. As for myself, Black_Spartan615 on the interwebs, where you can find me. Again, like and follow me if you like. Just don't be weird. I don't want to get in the habit of blocking. At the same time, guys, I know we talk a lot of things on here that just, make you want to just, throw your hands up and say we're done with it. But hey, don't doom scroll, which means that put the phone down. Put the phone down for a little while. Put the smart tablet down for a little while. Go enjoy outside. Go enjoy some water time if you love summer. I personally don't. I'm a winter person. I don't like being out there when the sun is on 120. But hey, if you're a summer baby, enjoy yourself. Check on your friends. Call or text. See what they're doing. Get outside and enjoy life. Do something that makes you laugh. Do something that makes somebody else laugh. But just get out there or be active. But again, protect your peace. Check on your folks. Leave the doom scrolling to the crazy people, because, ain't no saving them. That also being said, guys, the last thing I say about Frack We Got Here, it's all about staying informed. We are not trying to reinvent the wheel, guys. We are simply giving you all the information allowing you to make up your own mind. But we do provide a positive perspective that goes along with it to help, to guide, to, hopefully kick in that fire that to where you feel like you need to be more informed about the world and hopefully become an actor. When we are informed, we are progressive. We try to make decisions now that we should have done back then, like electing our first Black woman to the Supreme Court, electing our first Black woman to the Federal Board of Governors, electing one day our first Black woman to be called Madam President. All great things. We don't learn from history. We are doing to repeat it. That's what we keep asking ourselves. Why does everything go up at our paycheck? Why are we electing different politicians, but still the same old game in Congress? And most importantly, how the frack we got here. Thank you all for watching, guys. Please stay safe. Please stay hydrated. At the same time, guys, protect your peace. Check on your folks. Somehow, some way, we'll all get through this. Thanks for watching, guys. And if you listen on repeat, still listen. I want to know what you guys think. Talk to me. Peace.